Ravens fans, before I get into today's news and rumors, I got to be honest with y'all. I am probably one of the most competitive people out there, and I would imagine a lot of people watching the show right now hate losing as well. So I don't know if you guys can do math, but if you can tell, you're about 99 subs away from our Saints channel, and I want you guys to go ahead and catch them. Why? The more subs we get, if you guys pass Saints today, you can get more videos as well. So hit that subscribe button and tell all your friends that, hey man, we got to catch Saints today. Mitchell Rentz from Chat Sports, ready to get into today's Baltimore Ravens news and rumors. We're going to talk about the NFL draft. I'm going to break down some interesting things that I saw around free agency. And then at the end of today's show, a all-pro linebacker actually spoke about quarterback Lamar Jackson. I'm going to tell you what he thinks about y'all's QB. So what I decided to do is I saw a pretty cool ESPN mock draft, and I'm going to give you my overall reaction on who ESPN thought made the most sense for the Baltimore Ravens to take at number 14. We'll go through the top 10 picks. I did find it pretty interesting that Malik Willis actually ended up going off the board at number 6 to the Carolina Panthers. I love Malik Willis. He is a hell of a quarterback. I just thought that was a little bit early. Kyle Hamilton at number 7. This was phenomenal value. Garrett Wilson, a solid receiver out of Ohio State, goes to number 10. And then 11 through 14, Kenny Pickett off the board. David Ajabo goes to the Minnesota Vikings at 12. Treylon Burks at number 13. And then y'all's team, the Baltimore Ravens, at 14. Before I tell you who Jordan Reed, who was the guy that ended up writing this article for ESPN, went out and took, I do want to break down some of the bigger draft needs for Baltimore. Now, obviously, depending on what happens in free agency, depending on what happens even the next month here in February, could determine what exact needs this team has. But as it stands right now, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, cornerback, offensive guard, and safety are the biggest team needs. Now, when I looked at my big board and I thought, okay, who are some of these players that are still available? Here were the 5 best players available on my board, and on top of that, that also fit the Baltimore Ravens' needs. So I had Ahmad Sauce Gardner, who is a cornerback that I absolutely love out of Cincinnati. Trevor Penning is probably the best offensive tackle still on the board in terms of a right tackle. Jordan Davis, the kid out of Georgia, the DT, love him. Tyler Lindenbaum, I actually think he's the best player out of all these guys still on the board, though you don't really need a center. And then Andrew Booth Jr., cornerback from Clemson. So if you guys were the general manager, right, you're sitting there, you're in the war room, and you're figuring out who should Baltimore take at 14, those were my top 5 players, but maybe there's somebody else who you would like to go out and get. I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's show, so while you're getting hit with that YouTube ad break, scroll on down and let me know who should the Ravens draft at 14. In ESPN's latest mock draft, the Baltimore Ravens went out and took offensive tackle from Northern Iowa, Trevor Penning. Now, here's some of my notes that I had on him from the Senior Bowl, who, honestly, man, I liked what I saw out of his production at the Senior Bowl. Anytime you're from a smaller college, right, like Northern Iowa, NFL scouts, people like me, everyone wants to know, how do you do up against some of these schools like SEC, Big 10, Big 12 type of talent? Penning bullied people the entire week. He played nasty, and sometimes, he went a little bit too far. But as far as I'm concerned, from an offensive lineman, I want somebody that eats a bowl of nails for breakfast without any milk, and that's what I saw from Trevor Penning this past week. Here's what Jordan Reed had to say on why he decided that the Ravens should draft him at number 14. The Ravens were decimated by injuries a season ago, revealing how much help they needed at offensive tackle and in the secondary. They allowed the most sacks in franchise history, 57, and only the Bears allowed more with 58. Penning is an ideal fit in Baltimore because of his ability to control the line of scrimmage, which is necessary for the Ravens' downhill running game. He plays with violence and physicality and could be an early starter at right tackle opposite of Ronnie Stanley. At Senior Bowl practice last week, Penning proved that he belonged in round 1. And I 100% agree with that. He absolutely looked like now he belongs in round 1. 14, I still thought was a little bit of a reach, but if you were a team like Baltimore, like, no, we need a right tackle, Penning's the best right tackle in this year's draft class, and I don't know if it's all that close. So what I want you guys to do now is go down in the comments and grade the pick. If you were sitting here, you're watching, Chat Sports makes a video that the Baltimore Ravens went out and took Penning at 14, how would you grade it? A, you absolutely love the pick. B, it was a good pick. C, it's average. D, it's bad. F, I think we've all gotten an F or two, right? So grade the pick for Penning at number 14 to the Baltimore Ravens. I personally would go ahead and say that it's a B grade. I thought it was a good pick. I think he's a good player. Definitely a little bit of a reach. But when I really sit down to think who are some of the better players available, I love Tyler Lindenbaum. I love Sauce Gardner. And obviously, you got to see exactly what's going on with Marcus Peters, how healthy Marlon Humphrey is. Are the Baltimore Ravens going to bring in another player at corner? Because if not, Gardner next to Marlon Humphrey, good freaking luck trying to throw on that secondary. Now, guys, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and producer Jeremy made this link, and to be honest, I don't even know if it works, so I need you to prove to me that chatsports.com/flockme works. So every single person, make sure that it takes you to a hoodie, because I'm a little bit worried of where that's going to take you. So apparently, if you go to chatsports.com/flockme, you're going to be able to get your girls into some awesome Ravens gear, whether it's sweatshirts, t-shirts. I believe they're also going to have like purses, shoes, basically anything that you think that your girl, wife, side piece might want for Valentine's Day. You can go ahead and get it at the link that y'all see below, chatsports.com/flockme. Let's get into the latest free agency rumors circulating around the Baltimore Ravens. There's been a rumor out there that the Ravens obviously could be interested in going out and adding some talent at the cornerback position, considering the fact that Marlon Humphrey battled an injury. Marcus Peters basically didn't play the entire, not even basically, he didn't play the entire year. And the rumor is that you could actually see the Ravens show some interest in veteran cornerback Patrick Peterson. Now, let's just face the facts. Peterson, household name, one of the best cornerbacks that I have personally ever seen. There was definitely a time where he would take away an entire side of the field. Hell, I remember as a kid watching Patrick Peterson going up against Calvin Johnson, and it was one of the best showdowns that I have literally ever seen. But now at this point of his career, he's an average starting cornerback at best, coming off a year that he did struggle a little bit in Minnesota. Now, in terms of the article that I saw linking the Baltimore Ravens to Patrick Peterson, they also sprinkled in these two teams as well in terms of some teams that could have some connections. The Los Angeles Rams, why? Darius Williams, their number 2 cornerback, is going to be a free agent, and Los Angeles is definitely not afraid to spend some money. And then the New England Patriots, why? Their top guy, J.C. Jackson, he's going to be a free agent and more than likely is not going to be going back to New England. When you look at the Ravens' cornerback depth chart, obviously Marlon Humphrey's a top 5 corner in the National Football League. Marcus Peters, I actually think, could be a sneaky guy to be a cut candidate. Tavon Young, good nickel corner, can't play on the outside. You got Everett, who I really think that the Baltimore Ravens should do everything they possibly can to go ahead and try to bring that kid back. I was very impressed by him. But let's just say you go with Marlon Humphrey, you move on from Marcus Peters. Does it make sense then to go out and get a veteran like Patrick Peterson, who had 45 tackles last year, a pick and 5 pass breakups? Like, I get it. Since his whole PED suspension, and then last year on Minnesota, he struggled. But that Minnesota Vikings defense last year as an entire unit was also very, very bad. And let's just face it again, I think Baltimore has some of the best coaches, though Don Wink Martindale is no longer there. So, definitely interesting. So, what do you think Baltimore should do here, y'all? Should they go out, sign Patrick Peterson? I want you to type S for sign, type P for pass. Here at Chat Sports, we want you guys to be a part of our show. So please let me know down in the comments, S for sign or P for pass. Before I leave, I did find this pretty interesting rumor. Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons, he was on Bleacher Report Live, and they simply just asked him, hey man, who do you think are the 6 best quarterbacks in the National Football League? Parsons went actually ahead and said Lamar Jackson deserves to be in that top 6 list. With all the rumors, with everything circulating around Baltimore, and even some of these NFL teams of like, should Lamar get a contract extension? Is Lamar good enough to make $40 million a year? I know there's a bunch of Ravens fans that don't even sit here and say, let Lamar go. We got Tyler Huntley. I'd rather just bring him back. Personally, I think y'all are crazy because Lamar Jackson to me is absolutely, when healthy, a top 6 quarterback. If you don't believe me, maybe you believe a Pro Bowl caliber linebacker in Micah Parsons, who said, here were the 6 best quarterbacks: Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott, and then Lamar Jackson. I am curious to know where Joe Burrow, where Justin Herbert would fit into that category. It's weird not seeing Tom Brady, but he is retired, thank the Lord. But those are Parsons' top quarterbacks. So here's my question. We've talked, obviously, a lot about Lamar. He's done a lot of good for this team. MVP back in 2019, coming off the worst year of his entire career. But do you think Lamar Jackson is a top 6 quarterback? Type Y for yes, or I want you to go ahead and type N for no.